Hey guys, it's Nolan from Trade and Train. We hope you are really well. Okay, let's have a little look at the markets. It's just coming up to just gone 9:30 really in the UK. So we've actually seen a bullish dollar over the past 3 days, as you can see here on this daily chart of the dollar index. But if you've been following our analysis, we're coming into an area. Anywhere where we are now, coming into 88.5 is an area where previously in 2018 we saw any kind of bearish momentum slow down, as you can see, and we're in that zone now. So are we going to see the same thing happen again, or are we going to have a bit more of a correction, maybe into possibly into $92 before we see some more downside? Let's just have a little look at the smaller time frame. Because we've had three days of buying momentum on the dollar, so it could be a bit of a bigger correction. I want to see this descending resistance broken. Okay, we've come into that resistance there, and then we've started to see sellers come off. Now we are obviously coming into the end of the day, so what I could see potentially happening is some kind of maybe an inverse head and shoulder pattern. If I just kind of show you what I mean, we could do something like that. Now this, we call this the neckline, okay? So we're looking for the break and retest of this neckline before we'd be looking to go long on USD. Now that's going to be the case whether this pattern, fulfills itself, whether it is an inverse head and shoulders or whatever. I'd still be looking for the same thing before I go long on any more USD pairs. So it's something to look out for. If that dollar strength is going to continue, I'd like to see this broken, retested, and then look to go long. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier, targets for me would be around that kind of 92 level, somewhere around there. We've got that low there, as you can see, at 91.733. If we look at the daily chart, you can clearly see these lows here as well, which is why I'm thinking around that 92 level. Somewhere around there would be a target. So potentially something like that, and then we'll see what happens. Do we break or do we move back to the downside? Aussie USD, let's have a quick look at that one. We've very much been flying Aussie USD and Kiwi USD actually. And the trend is still intact on the daily time frame. So if you are a trend trader, you're only really going to be looking for buy opportunities on this. Let me just have a little look at the bigger time frame. When you look at the monthly, you can clearly see these highs here. Now, yep, they were broken back here in 2017, but you can see over several months here, this area has acted as resistance, and maybe we might see some sellers come in. This particular chart and Kiwi dollar have really been motoring on without any form of real correction. So, it wouldn't surprise me if we do see some form of correction on this pair. Intraday traders tomorrow could look for a retest of this zone here. We've got resistance. It tried it twice, pushed down, eventually broke, retested it. We had a little bit of upside. Again, came back into the zone, rejected it. So, resistance and support broken. Could we retest this zone again and see some selling coming in, maybe back into these lows here or into the trend line? So if you're a trend trader, like I say, you're only going to be looking for longs on this pair. I would suggest looking for that break and retest there and looking to go long somewhere here. But yeah, there's potential for some USD strength to come in, so we might see Aussie USD have a little bit more of a correction. Okay, so if you're a counter trend trader, you don't mind going against the bigger trend, you know, move down into those smaller time frames and look at what the price action is doing. Look at the cycles. You know, you can clearly see that this is moving to the downside. But if you wanted to sell it, where do you want to sell it from? Well, you want to sell it at a retest of previous support, broken support, which is here. And you want to see price rejecting. So, you know, we're going into the Asian session very, very soon. So for me personally, I'd be leaving that one alone and see what it looks like in the morning. Euro. Let me just pull up the daily chart actually. We've got Euro in this ascending structure, as you can see. Let me just delete these for a moment. We've got resistance here, resistance tested a number of times, and we've come into that zone again. But when we go to the 4 hour, we can actually see prices broken through this ascending trend line here. So are we going to see a bigger correction on the Euro USD into maybe the bottom trend line here, 1.2, like we may see dollar index push up into 92. We could see Euro push down into 1.2. If this descending bearish momentum is going to continue, I'd be very interested in looking price retest that low there and then looking for a rejection. Or possibly you can look for, can just see a nice clear area here of support. You may just want to wait for price to break that support, retest it, and then look for that short if we get sellers come in here rejecting this zone around about 1.2130, somewhere around there. So definitely, you can see a definite shift in sentiment to the downside. We'll be looking for that pullback, maybe into 122, 1.22 rejection there. Comes into this area of support here, moves stops to break even from this trade, see if it breaks, pulls back, maybe another trade there. So euro dollar shorts could be on the cards, but I'll be waiting for, you know, the right price action. Pound USD, well, a bit of a scruffy chart for me, to be honest with you, but we have come into weekly ascending resistance, as you can see here, and we've started to see last week sellers come in. Don't get me wrong, when you look at the daily, you know, we are pushing to the upside, so all these trades are really, you know, on USD are going against the bigger trend, which is USD weakness. But if you don't mind counter trend trading, then there may be some trades for you to take. I would like to see, now I don't know whether we're going to get it, but nice clear zone here of support, which has been broken here and closed below. And we've seen a big push up, and we're starting to see sellers come in again. Now, you know, for me, I would have liked it to push just a little bit higher. And also, it's the wrong time of day for me to start looking at, you know, selling this now, going into the Asian session. I'd rather some kind of rejection during the London session or the early New York session. But it may come into this zone, it may not. You know, we could easily draw perhaps an array connecting this lowest low here, and yep, it's come into there, and we certainly are seeing sellers come in you know, the last few hours. So I'm going to set this one out, and I'm going to see if price does push back up into this zone and rejects to potentially go short on this. Let's have a look. Kiwi USD. Kiwi USD for me has been massively overbought for, you know, quite a while now. I mean, look at this weekly time frame. Absolutely crazy. It's just been going up and up and up. It's had one bearish week, and even when it did drop, it was very short-lived. So we saw this level here around about the 7,000. No, actually, it was a bit lower than that, 69.40. Nice little zone here, resistance, which was broken with this candle here, but it's never been retested. So because this is so overbought, I do like the thought of price coming back into this zone to test it. So we'd be looking for that change of sentiment on the smaller time frames. You can clearly see this little area of support here. We've come into it twice now, rejected there and a little bit of rejection there. Not much there because we are seeing some selling come in. Again, the wrong time of day for me to start looking at intraday trading. So, but I will be looking to see if we can get something like that. Looking to sell from here if we do see sellers come in, and then potentially trying to ride that trade all the way down back into this zone here for that retest. Dollar CAD, I'm not going to look at dollar CAD. I had a quick look at that before the before I recorded this video. I didn't really like the chart, to be honest with you, so I'm not actually going to say anything about that. So I'll move on to dollar Swiss, which does look interesting because, again, you know, this would be counter trend trading. The momentum is absolutely on the daily time frame. You know, it's to the downside, no getting away from it. It's dollar weakness, but we are coming into this, and we do seem to be testing this little area of resistance here. Now, what I see happening is, either way, you know, I want to see this this price broken, retested, and then look for buyers to come in. Okay, that's what we're looking for. And you know, there's a big number there at 9,000. Anywhere around there, or maybe just before, would it be a good area or a good zone to take profit? You can actually see that low there, so maybe a little bit lower down. But what potentially could happen is an inverse head and shoulders, so something like that. And can I get this back? Yeah. So this kind of, in fact, if I draw it in properly, left shoulder there, head, you know, right shoulder. So basically a low, a lower low, higher low, push up, break this neckline, retest it, and then look to go long here. So that's what potentially could happen. But either way, I'd still be looking for the break and retest of the neckline, this zone here, to look to go long on that. One more chart I want to have a look at is dollar yen. So dollar yen, if you've been following the dollar yen chart, look at the daily, it's in this descending channel. Almost, you could almost call it a descending wedge, because it's not a channel with parallel lines. The lines are actually coming into an apex, if you like. If we were to continue to draw this further down, eventually these lines would start to converge, or they are converging, but they'd start to come together and come to a point. So, you know, until this breaks out, I'm still looking to sell this particular pair. So this kind of goes against that potential dollar strength, because we are in an area, a zone where we could see sellers come in. You know, we're very close to the top of this channel. So let's have a little look at the smaller time frames. Look at the hourly. We can actually see that the sentiment, the short-term sentiment anyway, is still to the upside. And we can actually draw a nice trend line, actually connecting the lows. Yep, and you know, still pushing to the upside, still making higher highs, higher lows. I do believe we have a little bit of what's called MACD divergence, price divergence. Price is pushing to the upside, but we're actually getting, we've had a lower high here on the MACD. which tells us that we could expect a reversal to take place. It means that potentially the upwards momentum is dying out. Now, we did see that previously, I believe, here when we came to the top of the channel. We saw a high and a higher high, and we saw a high and a lower high here, and that led to price selling off when it broke that trend line. Had a little break there, retest, and then started to sell off. So but don't just sell, because there's MACD divergence and because we're in the top of the structure. You need to wait, okay? Just wait for price to start selling off. Look for that first pullback and then look to sell if we get a sell set up here. There's a nice zone actually. If you look at the 1 hourly, you can actually see it. This support here and resistance. Yeah, I'll be looking for a nice clear break of the trend line. Close below this zone here, retest, and if you get a nice sell setup here, if you see those buyers turn into sellers, then that could be an opportunity to get in this. And if this momentum continues, then we could be making a new low, maybe even come into 102, I should say, who knows. But certainly, we could see a push down to the bottom of this structure. Eventually, I do see this break into the upside because I do see it as a descending wedge, and technically a descending wedge is basically a technical pattern where we would expect it to break to the upside. So, but if this does offer me a sell setup here and I see that sentiment change on the smaller time frames, the hourly, then I would be prepared to sell this with the idea that price could come and push and make a new low here and then look to for buyers to come in. So there's a few charts. So potential opportunities this week if you're a counter trend trader. If you're a trend trader, you might need to kind of sit on your hands and be patient this week. Let's see. But if today's anything to go by, we saw dollar strength, we saw the risk currencies, Aussie, Kiwi, CAD, saw those weak. Is it going to continue? We'll let price do the talking. All right, from me at Trade and Train, we will speak to you really, really soon. Bye for now.